all of the projects were submitted, and we could actually get together as a group and start looking at things and start talking about them. I thought it went really well. All the people involved were really invested and really smart. And we all had our own opinions, and we trusted each other, so that we could say, well, I think this is, it should go this way versus that way, and we were able to look at the judging criteria and say, this is probably more important than that.
It was interesting. It bridged a lot of judges from a lot of different continents, apparently, some on trains, some on planes, some in offices. At one point, I think there was a gentleman running through an airport. But anyway, it was clearly a big logistical challenge, and I think the company pulled it off pretty well.
To see the number and the quality of the ideas coming through, I'd say for GigaSpaces it was definitely a good investment, and it clearly sparked the imagination of a lot of people and got them interested in looking at the platform. So it seemed to work really, really well. I was impressed with that.
It was interesting to see that process and work out the best way of scoring these things. I think overall we reached to a very good conclusion about how to do these things.
And there was a raging debate towards the end as to who the real winner should be, and we all went back and forth numerous times. If we were in the room, there would definitely have been lots of terrible fighting, but considering that there was like video conferencing and only phones, the worst that happened was like broken appliances.
The winning entry was GoDo, which is, go and donate, so it's a donation product, and it was actually a complete application. I was thrilled with the selection, actually. I think that having looked at everything, looking at all the products, I thought, well, this one's good, that one's good, this one's good. There were a lot of really good candidates, but I thought the clear winner was GoDo.
I think the entries, the top three were correct. I actually did like Gigapult. I know it was a command line tool, there wasn't much visual, but in fact it was very well architected, and for me it sort of sparked my interest quite a bit. And I also like the domain proxy as well. I thought that was an innovative use. But GoDo definitely put the biggest amount of work in there, and they sort of covered the whole spectrum, I think.
The entry itself was quite nice because it challenged a lot of what we saw as conventional wisdom regarding the entries in the contest. He took a product that really lends itself well to serialization and coupled it with another one that lends itself well to serialization, and put together GWT plus GigaSpaces, the OpenSpaces implementation, really showed that there's potential to take common frameworks for doing things as simple as building a UI and making it exceedingly scalable by dumping it on top of an application infrastructure that provisions for that sort of thing.
For me, it was fairly close. There are a number of very good entries with different qualities, and I think the thing that finally swung it for GoDo, for me and many of the other judges, was the creativity aspect of what had been done with there. Some of the other entries were very complete, very polished, but had done things perhaps that was a bit more obvious. But with GoDo, there was a really nice kind of, this is a very creative way to apply GigaSpaces and get a different kind of solution, and I think that's the spark that made it stand out from some of the other projects in the end and ultimately made it the winner.
The developer did a lot of things that were beyond expectations. Like he embedded a GUI into the product itself, and so when you're using GigaSpaces, it actually has an embedded GUI in the product. He used some mechanisms like the JavaScript object notation, the JSON thing, for actually storing elements into GigaSpaces itself, which was kind of a neat idea, because there are a lot of things that he did technically that would have been valuable as framework pieces.
This is an interesting model. I wouldn't be surprised if we see this sort of thing happen more and more. You've got a product, you have an open version of the product. A very good way to build a community around it is to spark it and seed it with some sort of challenge.
Yeah, I thought the process was good, and I'd like to do something similar. It was very interactive. Obviously had good judges, of course. But yeah, it was. I think it went very well.
It's good to see them doing this. It's good to see a community being built around a product that traditionally might live only in the realm of a very large company, or a company that can only, has to really think about making a commitment to this. seeing them take the time to foster a community, especially within the open source world, is very heartwarming. That gives people that want to use it in the enterprise a lot more confidence in the longevity of the product, and it allows you to make a commitment to it in a lot easier fashion.
As editor, I kind of have to play neutral a lot more than a lot of other people do. So I can't be honest about, Kirat, for example, who, nothing really happens to him, seriously. He's a good guy, really, right?
Well, had I seen him in person, Dr. Ottinger, there could have been some fisticuffs, but no, nothing really happened.
I gotta be honest, Joe, I'm amazed that you know so little about Java. It's unbelievable. Ultimately, I think the process was good, and I think they're one of the few companies that really pulled it off well, that I've seen.
I do think the way this has been handled, the competition, the stuff that GigaSpace has been doing in around this, really shows that they do understand the whole community thing. They figured out how to make that work. Clearly, you can see from the composition, it's generated a bunch of good ideas and good things around GigaSpaces. And if they keep doing that, it should be a key part of their success going forward. It's working really well, and if you get that understanding versus somebody who doesn't, it's worth everything.